Hi folks, Gary here with a quick disclaimer. All of my DIY type videos are for entertainment purposes only. If your project involves an element of risk, it's likely best if you engage the services of a licensed professional. If, however, you lack discernment and have a highly overinflated opinion of your own abilities, well, I certainly welcome you to follow along and I hope you enjoy. Well, good Sunday morning, everyone. You can probably hear the road noise and my daughter's air conditioner to my left, above my voice possibly. But today the goal is to finish up the tight ends of this gas line install on this Generac. As you can see, I've got my painter's tape out, some cardboard, and I'm getting ready to spray my black iron piping. I made the mistake 8 years ago when I did a combi boiler install. The black iron piping outside my house, I got lazy and I let the rust get ahead of me. And it's quite a bit of work to get all of that off and repaint it. So do it right the first time. Do it right after your install. And here we are over on the meter end of the gas line. Got this all tight taped up as well. This is a new segment of piping. This nicely painted gray here is the original piping, and it was a mess. And a few weeks ago I had to strip all the rust off, and I did a lot of work to get that resurfaced, so I don't want to do that all over again. So I'm going to paint it right now before I start my backfill. If you're wondering what product I'm using to paint my black iron pipe, it's Rust-Oleum. It's a gloss, and it's the color is smoke gray. Seems to be very commonly used paint for black iron pipe. And obviously you can get it in the spray can and the brush on, and I'm going to be doing a combination of the both. So I've got all the new black iron pipe painted, both ends. Now it's just a waiting game to let that dry. I don't want to start throwing shovelfuls of sand into the trench and have it blow sand dust all over my new paint job. So we'll just be patient. It's a humid day, and let that dry sufficiently, and then we'll get back in the trench. Okay, well, my paint is dried on my black iron piping, and now I'm ready to backfill with sand, wash sand. But before I do, I had to lay out my tracer wire. Very important that you put tracer wire alongside your underground gas piping. Okay. It needs to come above the ground on each end. It needs to follow your gas line. And so that's done. And now it's time to start filling in with wash sand. Alright, so a little update is, as you saw earlier, I ran my tracer wire alongside, parallel to the underground gas line, and now I've been filling in with wash sand the trench, and my goal is to get about at least 6 inches of sand above that gas line and tracer wire. My buddy lent me his tamper, and I'm just gently tamped down what I've already laid in. So after I measure off, and let me show you what I'll be doing. Okay, here we go. If you watch any of my earlier videos on this project when I was digging my trench, you may have seen this. I made like a homemade trench measurer, and this is set for 24 inches. So I got 4 to 6 inches of base sand in, all packed down nice. Before I laid in my gas line, I made sure that my depth from the finished surface of the lawn to the gas line was at least 24 inches, which it is, probably 26 inches. So now I'm going to remove this. I'm going to drop it down 6 inches or so, 6-7 inches, and then I'm going to run that measurer across my trench again to make sure that I have about 6 or 7 inches above the gas line. And after I do that, let me show you what I'll be doing. And then I'll be running a length, well, the whole length of the trench, I'll be running caution tape, okay? caution tape. Now the purpose of that is obviously the tracer wire is for a technician to be able to trace out where the gas line is, but the caution tape is for anybody that's, could be even you if you forgot that you even put in a gas line, but for anybody in the future that owns your property, say they're doing some drainage, you know, they're not aware that there's a gas line immediately below where they may want to do some drainage, they want to dig out, they want to do an addition, they've got water lines, planting shrubs, any number of things, digging for earthworms. So they're going to come to this caution line, hopefully, way before they touch or penetrate your underlying gas line, underground gas line. So once I achieve my depth with this level of sand, in goes the caution tape. Okay, so I've got my backfilled wash sand, all measured out, all tamped out. Now I'm ready for the caution tape. And there it is. Caution tape all installed. Whole length of the trench, from riser to riser. Now it's time to complete my backfill. I have more sand in my trailer. I'd like to get rid of all this sand first so I can have my trailer back. And this was my wife's flower garden for her perennials, so I'm going to need loam for at least 8 to 12 inches down, so I am going to be left with this huge pile of disgusting clay, rock, you name it. I'm not going to put that back in. I'm going to have to haul it off. Hey everyone, as Sunday afternoon winds down, I think we've come to a close pretty much on the natural gas installation portion of this 24K Generac standby generator install. Just kind of take a quick peek. So let's just do a quick summary of what's involved on the natural gas portion of the installation. While every municipality or state have different codes or whatnot, I'll just tell you what was involved just real quickly in my natural gas installation. First thing I did was I dug a trench 30 inches deep from the meter all the way to the standby generator. Okay, you want to square it up real nice, get all the rocks and stones out of the way, and then I lined that trench with about 6 inches of washed sand. Then I tamped it down. Then you can see this eyesore here. I'll talk about that at the very close. The next thing involved is the hard piping. You must branch out from the meter and use hard piping down to just above the ground line, where you will transition, if you do the same type of application I did, from hard piping to flexible piping. And in this case I use a what's called a riser, and it goes from hard piping, and you saw that in prior video, to flexible piping. And then you will use flexible piping all the way down your trench, and you will come up with another riser and do hard piping into the generator. In regards to the hard and flexible piping, obviously the most important thing is the integrity of your connections. Do not rush it. Make sure you feel comfortable doing this. If not, please hire a professional. I used a combination of Blue Monster joint tape on my hard piping connections along with Pro-Dope, and I made sure I had plenty of firmness in my connections. Now, when you believe everything is good to go underground, you must do a pressure test, and that again checks for the integrity of your connection. You can't have gas leaks. You just can't do that. So that'll be a combination of using an air type pressure test, okay, 15 psi, for instance, and you must maintain that pressure for 10-15 minutes. Some people like an hour, some people will do it overnight. That's probably not necessary. Okay. The other thing you'll want to do is you'll want to check all of your joints with some type of a spray soap. Look for bubbles. That's another clue of leaks. You must be certain that you have no leaks before you proceed. That is critical. Once you've are satisfied that you've passed your pressure and leak test, you can connect all your fittings, okay, all of your fittings, and you start the backfill process. In my case, I first installed the tracer wire. I talked about that earlier on this video. From the meter pipe, side of the pipe, all the way to the generator side, a tracer wire. Then I backfilled with about 6 to 8 inches of washed sand, and I tamped it all down. After I did that, I ran the entire length, just like the tracer wire, with caution tape. Placed caution tape the whole length of the trench. After that, I backfilled with additional sand. Okay. Matter of fact, I used all the sand I have, and you can see that my trench is not full. In my case, this was a perennial flower garden for my wife, and everything that came out was just, look at this, terrible eyesore. This is mostly all clay. I'm not putting that back in. I owe her for her patience. I'm going to be backfilling all of this with nice garden soil so she can plant some perennials and be happy. All of this clay is going to be shoveled away, hauled away to the landfill. Now, one pro tip for you, I will tell you. If you're going to dig your own trench and you're going to do it with a hand spade like I did, make your pile further from the trench. So I didn't leave myself enough room to push my wheelbarrow close to the trench and shovel the sand back into the trench. If I had moved when I dug my hole, if I had thrown my clay and rock and everything further away from the trench, then I would have had a nice wide path, and it would have been a lot easier doing the backfill with my washed sand or garden soil, loam, whatever you're going to use, or your original soil if yours is better than mine. So I wish I had thought ahead. That was a lot of extra steps filling things back in. So that's just a quick summary of the gas portion of this install. And the next portion, after I clean up all of this mess and get the perennial garden back in place for my wife, I will be moving on to the electrical portion of the install. Really appreciate you following along, and hope you enjoyed it and maybe learned something.